Hello, it's Dave here, and I'm with my wife, Cathy.
Hello.
You're listening to the Cinemile. It's the show where we walk to the movies, and then we see a movie, and then we're going to walk home from that movie.
Thank you, Dave, for that laboured explanation. Now we are walking very quickly to see Widows because we're running a little late.
Yeah, because we're late, and it's your fault, as always.
And this is a movie we've been wanting to watch for weeks. We just have not been able to get to it. And I think we've both been really good about avoiding spoilers. But we are aware of the fact that it's getting rave reviews, so...
Avoiding spoilers? I've been avoiding the plot details.
Yeah, I've avoided everything.
I
haven't even seen a trailer.
When you hear a movie is this good, you're like, right, I don't want to know anything. I know
that
it's... all I know is it's a heist movie.
Excellent.
Which I love. Love a heist movie. Steve McQueen directs this, who did 12 Years a Slave and the... Shame and Hunger. So I'm glad to see he's back to one-word titles.
I know, yeah, exactly.
But unfortunately, it's not a title that describes a state of being.
No, and did you?
Because he could have had a state of being trilogy, like
could have.
Hunger, Shame, and
12 Years
Anxious.
a Widow?
12. No.
Anyway.
Yeah, go on.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say I didn't enjoy 12 Years a Slave.
I stopped watching it halfway through. It was too much for me. If I'd been in a cinema, I would have stayed for it, but because we were watching it at home, I didn't.
It was relentless.
Turned it off, yeah.
I thought Hunger was an amazing piece of work. I haven't seen Shame.
Me neither.
And I thought 12 Years a Slave was just like really well put together. He's an excellent director, but Jesus Christ.
It was grim. But this one, interestingly, is the screenplay is co-written by Steve McQueen and Gillian Flynn. So she of Gone Girl fame and obviously Dark Places, the TV show we loved this summer. She wrote the book that was based on
Sharp Objects.
Sorry, she's also written one called Dark Places, which I also enjoyed. But this is a screenwriting credit for her, and it's actually based on a book by Linda LaPlante, who is quite a prolific writer, including she wrote like Prime Suspect, that TV series.
Oh, that's
so
old school.
Two screenwriters.
Helen Mirren.
Yeah. So two screenwriters, and it's based on a book. So I'm guessing, like, with that kind of pedigree, it's going to be a really good story.
And we haven't even mentioned the cast, and there's a whole load of them. It's a big ensemble.
Yeah. Viola Davis.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, Liam Neeson, who was in the last movie we reviewed. So we're actually doing a Liam Neeson double bill. It was entirely intentional.
I don't think it counts as a double bill if a week has passed.
I think it does.
I don't think you understand the term of double bill.
Anyway, we gotta go because it's freezing cold.
Goodbye. We'll see you after we've been widowed. Well, you won't be widowed, hopefully.
I hope not.
I'm not going to die in this movie.
Our husbands aren't coming back. We're on our own. My husband left me the plans for his next job. All I need is a crew to pull it off.
Why should we trust you anyway?
Because I'm the only one standing between you and a bullet in your head.
That's what I've learned from men like your late husband and my father, is that you reap what you sow.
Let's hope so.
Right, it is very cold. We're just out of Widows.
Yeah, it's
We're
freezing.
walking home.
Mm-hmm.
Cathy, what you think of that? Do you want to give a quick
loved
synopsis?
I mean, the premise, and I didn't even know this much of it. The premise is that three women who are widowed because their husbands were in a life of crime and they died during a heist, embark on a heist themselves where they try and, get some money that their late husbands owe. I guess that's the kind of brief synopsis.
That'll do.
But that doesn't really summarise it in the sense, like, that's a plot synopsis. But I mean, firstly, I loved it, and I loved every scene. Like, I relished everything. I thought, visually, it was so interesting. It was such a great character piece. The cast was just like out of this world. Like, every second scene, I was like gasping with excitement at a new amazing cast member that was popping off.
It really is an amazing.
It's
ensemble,
an amazing ensemble, and then, like, I mean, I love the heist stuff because I always enjoy really good heist stuff. But it was a lot deeper than that. Like, there's a reflection on politics in the US society, and there's a lot of, real representation and reflection on racism in America, and that stuff was really striking. So I definitely think it's like a real achievement, and I think it does that unusual thing of actually saying a lot about society while simultaneously being really fun, and while simultaneously, like, I don't know, it was like fun and serious at the same time, which is a hard thing to do, and it's an unusual movie in this, like, today and age. Like, you know, it's a big cast, but like it's not a huge budget movie. It is based on a book, but it felt very fresh and original, and like the closest comparison, like obviously from this year that I've seen in the cinema, is Ocean's 8. And like Ocean's 8 is nothing on this. Like, this is like, they're like leagues apart. There was real nuance, and there was real like there was genuine peril with what they were doing, which isn't something really in any of the Ocean's movies. So yeah, I just all over loved it. Absolutely loved it. What about you?
Disagree. Most of it with what you said.
Really?
Yeah, I was really disappointed by it.
Oh,
shame. Left not really feeling anything. I admired this movie a lot. I think what this movie to me is a load of brilliant parts that don't make a good sum.
Oh, interesting.
I think Steve McQueen is an amazing director. Like, he is one of the best directors alive today, and the way he creates atmosphere in a scene, particularly, it's all visual. He's a visual.
It's so visual,
filmmaker,
yeah.
And
I was on the edge of my seat for so much of it.
Oh, and he's an amazing action director, which I don't think I've seen him do before, really. But like, all the heist stuff was it's just so. Some of the shots and the way sort of some of the stuff with cars is done in particular.
Yeah, that was awesome.
The editing in this, the way the movie it tells its story, is brilliant. So the Steve McQueen, top notch. The cinematography and the editing, amazing. Loved all that stuff. The performances are excellent. Like, and in particular, it's hard to sort of call everyone out, but like, I thought Viola Davis, as always, knocked
just goes
it out of
without
the park.
saying.
She's really the core of the movie.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Debicki, I think is her name, was probably the second sort of standout. She's the one who gets the most screen time.
Yeah.
I thought she was excellent.
She's really good.
Michelle Rodriguez felt a little sidelined to me. And then besides that, Daniel Kaluuya, as always.
Oh my God. He's like...
I mean, that's a fun role for him to play.
I think he's an amazing actor anyway, and I loved him in Get Out.
Intense.
But he's so scary in this movie, and it's so weird, right? This is where I'm like, okay, because I googled IMDb for the movie when we were coming out of the cinema.
Yeah.
And then, right, I went on Twitter, and you know when you go in and what's trending on Twitter, and the first thing that came up trending on Twitter for me was his everyone's talking about his performance in Widows. That can't be trending on Twitter right now.
No.
But I had just IMDb'd it.
No, all right. Quick side note: sometimes when you go into moments or search on Twitter, it shows the last time you opened it, which could have been weeks ago.
No, the last time I opened Twitter was like 2 hours ago. I'm addicted to Twitter. Anyway,
there's no way, and everyone's talking about Daniel Kaluuya's performance in Widows right now.
Anyway,
this movie's been out for 3 weeks.
This is what came up on my Twitter. I'm going to show you.
You're killing the podcast.
Daniel Kaluuya's performance in Widows is getting noticed by fans. That's literally what's popped up.
Wait, hang on. That's the headline. His performance is getting noticed by fans.
And then it's, the way it summarizes what everyone's saying. Anyway, isn't like that's obviously weird. That's by the by. But anyway, I scrolled through it then, and everyone was saying he's like a better villain than Thanos.
I mean, this is a strange comparison.
He's so scary. There's a scene that takes place in a bowling alley where I had to turn my face from the screen because I was so disturbed by what his character was doing.
Well, more of that in Spoiler Street.
Anyway, he's just incredible.
Anyway, he's a real standout. He's got a fun character, and he gets to do a lot. Everyone else. There's some amazing actors in this. Robert Duvall's in this.
Yeah, for like 5 minutes.
But to the point
Jackie
where...
Weaver, the amazing Aussie actress.
Yes, so she's very good. But to the point where Robert Duvall's in this, and then he comes back, he kind of disappears for a while and comes back, and then I went, oh yeah, Robert Duvall's in this.
Yeah, I mean, he's a bit Colin Farrell, love him, always.
Colin Farrell, like, you could list off all these amazing actors, and everybody does a great job.
If anything, Liam Neeson was the worst in it.
Liam Neeson drops the ball a couple of times.
Because he had an American accent at the start and he had an Irish accent later on. That's all I have to say.
Well, yeah.
Man cannot hold an accent.
Anyway, I'm trying to explain my thoughts on the
sorry.
movie here. But I thought in particular those three are the ones that really stand out. I think they get the most sort of attention and they kind of hold the film up. So I mean, I've just praised loads of things, and I think like the music's excellent. Yeah. The action scenes are good. What doesn't really work for me is I thought the plot, the screenplay, wasn't strong enough, and I think, like I said, all of these elements worked in isolation, and I was able to admire them when they were all happening, but none of it came together for me as a movie. I felt like this movie had no momentum.
Oh, really?
No, I was largely just kind of being dragged along. Not dragged, that's not fair. I was just being brought along from scene to scene. I rarely felt a sense of excitement or propulsion that you should get with a fun, quick heist movie like this.
But it's not quick though. It's not a quick movie.
No, and to be fair, and look, that's not what the movie is.
It's not an Ocean's movie.
No, and it's not. And I liked that it was a departure. It's not an Ocean's movie, and I think that's fine. It's very much its own thing. But I'm just saying that's how I felt during the movie. I felt largely disengaged. I was stepping back and admiring it, and the characters, as characters, I didn't really connect or engage with any of them. When you're admiring the performances rather than engaging with a character, that means I'm disconnected from the movie, and that's honestly how I felt. So for me, it's kind of a weird fail. I can't really say it failed because it's like everyone did their job brilliantly.
Is it that your hopes are too high?
But no, it's not that at all. Because I was looking forward to it, but I was like, it's not like my most anticipated movie. I didn't even know what it was about. It's just that everything was brilliant. Everyone did their job perfectly, but it's almost like it was all quarterbacks and there was no teamwork. Do you know what I mean?
Stop pretending you know anything about American football.
I don't know why I use that as an analogy.
The only thing you know about American football is that one season of Friday Night Lights we watched.
Here's a better analogy, but also sport related. And I don't know why I'm just using sports guy. I don't know anything about it. It's like the whole movie was Cristiano Ronaldo, but there was no team. Do you know? It was like every single person was Cristiano Ronaldo.
But every person should be brilliant in a movie. What's your point?
My point is that everybody was brilliant in the movie, including the director and the crew and everybody, but the movie wasn't good. Does that make sense?
Then you're saying the director's not good,
no,
my friend.
because he's amazing.
Well,
he's
a
but genius.
It's the director's job to tie this all together, particularly when he's also co-written it. So actually,
your
feedback makes no sense.
That's where I think it fails. I think the core of this doesn't work. And if I can dig a little bit deeper, let's go to Spoiler Street maybe, because I think we've kind of said our piece.
Okay, so yeah, I'm interested in your reaction. I'm really surprised by it. To your point about feeling like you're being dragged along, I was the exact opposite, to the point where I really, really, really needed to go to the bathroom because I drank a massive thing of Sprite, which is always a bad idea.
Oh, and you missed a really good bit.
I know, and I ended up, when I went, I actually ran, like I don't often do this in the cinema, I ran to the toilet and ran back to the seat because I was like, I don't want to miss anything. And I was really annoyed about the scene I missed as well.
There's a great scene in this of a character running to a bus.
She's awesome.
Yeah,
she's like the new Tom
good.
Cruise.
Yeah.
She literally runs like Tom Cruise, but better.
All right, well, we turn on to Spoiler Street here and get into some detail.
One more thing before Spoiler Street for anyone who doesn't listen. What I loved about this movie as well is, and like I think this would just come naturally, you know, like things become more diverse as, you know, people who create things are more diverse. So this movie obviously is like written by a woman and a black man and directed by a black man. So this movie was naturally diverse, like completely across the spectrum. It wasn't one of those movies where like Ocean's 8 where it's like almost a bit of a gimmick that it's female driven. It was just the right thing to do for the story that the core characters were women, and it was the right thing to do with the story that the cast was diverse. And it was just like an absolutely like seamless example of diversity on screen, and like in the way that it naturally served the plot. And I just thought it was fantastic. And there's no gimmick around it, you know, which there, and I enjoyed Ocean's 8 and I'm pleased they made it, but you know, there was a sense of gimmickry around it that just doesn't exist in this. But it particularly helps when Viola Davis is your leading lady.
Interesting though, just one more thing before we turn to Spoiler Street, and to further pull on my point of the parts not working together. All the actresses were great, but I thought they had zero chemistry together as a unit. You talked about the Ocean's 8, which I haven't seen, but the Ocean's movies, like I think back to George Clooney and Brad Pitt and Matt Damon all sparking off each other. Got very little of this, and anytime in this movie, and anytime they sort of attempted that, it fell really flat on its face, if you ask me.
No, I disagree, but I think we need to go to Spoiler Street to discuss that.
We're turning on to Spoiler Street
and
right
there's a train just going past on Spoiler Street. It's also railway tracks.
Yeah, that's the spoiler train. It's the 706 to spoilers station.
Trains are coming. Okay, spoiler street for widows.
Okay, so what I'm talking about specifically there is that that scene where honestly this is one of the worst scenes I've seen lately in any movie. This is like
Really?
straight out of the cookie cutter cliche book, where in the middle of the movie where the three non-Viola Davis people in the crew are all talking about what a hard-ass bitch she is, and Michelle Rodriguez says the line, "You know what? Somebody should just take that stick out of her ass." And then Viola Davis appears from the shadows and says, "Maybe you should make me," or something.
I mean,
terrible
Viola Davis
like that.
is Annalise Keating, her character from.
But like,
come on.
How did Steve McQueen allow that one to happen?
Well, this is what I was going to get to.
Write
with
that
my
and
only,
direct it,
my
and
own,
they performed it, and then nobody was like, "Is this
No, but
stupid?"
this is the only problem I have with the movie, and I didn't get to it before. Is that I think the actual dialogue let it down.
Yes, the dialogue was terrible. The writing is bad.
But I loved the story, and I love the setting. So much of the script, I loved the elements of it. But there was scenes where the dialogue just didn't work.
Yeah.
And that's a really good example of one where she's also, let's face it, she is Annalise Keating from How to Get Away with Murder.
Yeah, very much
like
so.
she's very much playing to type here.
But that's fine.
It's fine
she's
because she
so
does
good
it.
at that.
Yeah, she does it very well.
Can I just say, I kind of disagree with you there in that I thought the story itself was great. I think this is a great setup for a movie.
That's what I said.
And I was really excited. No, you just said... Oh, no, yeah, sorry. I'm agreeing with you.
It's the dialogue I'd issue with.
I thought the story was great. I loved the setup. However, I think the screenplay, and I don't mean the dialogue because I also think it was a failure. I think the screenplay in the way that the story is paced and unraveled didn't work for me, and that's what killed the momentum. And also, there's too much in here. The movie should have been a little bit more economical with what it took from the book. And
Disagree.
I haven't read the book.
Yeah, you haven't
but
read the book.
I feel like a lot of what's in here, they crammed so much in here that I think it killed the pace to the point, and a lot of it's interesting, honestly. I thought the politics stuff, the wards and the alderman, that's all interesting. The stuff with Manning versus Colin Farrell and all this stuff, very interesting. The stuff with her backstory,
I loved it.
of Marcus, their son, in that tragic flashback that you were in the toilet for.
Oh my god, I'm so upset. That's what I missed.
But like that sort of touches on the current climate with police and African Americans in America.
But there was so much around race. That wasn't the only bit. Like
no. To be fair, yeah, it's very much central. It's a very small sort of community focused movie in many ways. It's based around a specific ward.
But it's
in
based
Chicago,
around the casual
African American ward
and the casual racism of white people. Like
Yeah.
Colin Farrell's character is just sitting around using the N-word with his dad, and him and people are just saying, "Oh, this black guy, that's black guy." The condensation towards black women is shocking in this movie. Like as in from like Colin Farrell's character, like, oh look, he wants to win. He wants to win this election, so it's like, oh look, I'll just take these women of color and I'll bring them up on stage like to take photos with them.
It's so
and that stuff happens all the
thinly
time.
sinister, isn't it? And
Yeah.
it's such a thin veneer of polite
It's horrific.
condescension.
And I just
agree.
love that they nearly every scene you looked in, there was that kind of racism being levelled at it. And it did seem to be a big issue for Viola Davis as well, that her husband was white, and then ultimately their son was killed because he was black. And then he has a son with someone else, and she says, "You've got your white baby now."
Yeah,
and
that
that's
was
a
interesting.
shocking line. Like,
look,
that was so devastating for me.
I agree that stuff is very much in the core of this movie, and it's sort of intertwined into its fabric, and it all came across pretty well, to be honest. But as a whole, it kind of felt like two different movies in some way, because the crime stuff felt tangential in a way to the crime stuff. Almost felt a little bit silly and heightened compared to the serious sort of subject matters that they're tackling, and it made me kind of wish that this had been a TV show, like a 10-part series would have had a bit more time to flesh all this out, because a lot of it felt rushed, let's face it. Don't think Michelle Rodriguez's character got to do a lot. She had a couple of really interesting scenes.
The really interesting scene was when she met a fellow. He was widowed, and so was she, and they kind of connected for this one moment in time on both being widowed, and they like had this really passionate embrace, and then they just both cried, and I just thought that felt like such a real scene. And I mean, honestly, I disagree with you. So I think if you're Steve McQueen and you've made such powerful movies in the past, and you want to make this type of music, absolutely grounded in a wider setting, this type of movie, so you absolutely grounded in a wider setting, because in something like Ocean's 8, why does it have to be that the only plot is the crime caper? Why can there not be context and nuance and backgrounds and different people in it? And I just loved it.
Yeah, look, and to be fair, I mean, it did all come together. Like, the reason why there are so many characters, which for me was killing the momentum at the beginning. I think it took quite a while to get going.
But you knew they were all going to like link up in the end.
Yeah, no, I did, and the way they linked up was very well done. I think I particularly liked the moment where it was revealed that it was Colin Farrell's house. That was
brilliant.
Was the same. Like,
and
that's
I particularly enjoyed the moment when we haven't even gotten to the bloody twist yet. So the moment when the fourth widow who wants nothing to do with them. Let me talk about the fourth widow.
Go on.
So first of all, we were so excited when she came on screen because we're currently binge watching The Sinner season 2 on Netflix, and she's like the standout of The Sinner, albeit she's a very small role in this. And there's this brilliant scene when Viola Davis goes to her apartment and she's got her white baby, and Viola Davis's dog, who she carries in every scene, which I absolutely loved. I thought that was such a good character point for her, that she just always has this dog and she's so attached to it.
Yeah, that was great.
And the dog starts barking, and we see like a whiskey flask. And I thought it was that woman had been sleeping with Liam Neeson when he was alive. I actually genuinely didn't realise that he was still alive now. Like, it was an actual twist for me, so do not scoff at it. Didn't see it coming.
I saw it coming from the first 5 minutes of the movie. I said, and I'm not going to say this to Cathy because you get pissed off if I do that.
Well, yeah, you don't ruin
Liam Neeson's not dead. And he wasn't dead.
He's got very high billing for someone who dies so soon, but I thought it was because he was in a lot of flashbacks.
That's such a low-hanging fruit of a twist as well. And it was like, and I really felt like, that's what I mean. When you've got things like that and then he comes back and they have a silly exchange, suddenly
I thought the exchange wasn't silly. I thought it was really horrific.
No, that's when it kind of fell over for me a bit.
Because we first realise in when he comes out of Colin Farrell's boat, which again I loved that he was in Colin Farrell's boat, but we realise that he's callously murdered his own crew, right? And we see the video clip of him kind of going above and beyond to murder them, like, you know, putting extra bloody accelerants in there. And then with her, like his own wife, and they've suffered the loss of a child together, and he's, you know, faked his own death. And then when he finds her, they have that horrible exchange about her saying, well, now you've got what you wanted, you've got a white baby. And then he basically goes to kill her. Like, that's not a light scene. Like, that's a really dark scene.
I didn't say it was a light scene.
You're saying it's a silly scene or whatever.
Yeah, because suddenly he was this weird cartoon villain with an Irish accent.
The Irish accent did not belong in that scene.
It just felt like they'd been establishing him. To be fair, they had been establishing only through her point of view.
He was being established in her memory.
Yeah, okay.
And if your husband dies, you're not lying in bed thinking of him being an asshole. She was lying in bed thinking of them hugging and kissing. Now, the opening scene of this movie, where we saw Liam Neeson's tongue going in and out of Viola Davis's mouth, that was an excruciating scene for me. That was actually worse than the scene of the baddie stabbing the guy in the bowling alley, which was horrific.
Oh, that was awful. In that opening scene, I was cleaning my glasses, so I could only see like that there was two characters in bed. I didn't even know who they were, but all I could hear was all the cinema, this Mexican wave of like
so gross. And I thought, okay, fine, maybe it wasn't his tongue, maybe I imagined it. Oh no, there's his tongue again. It was like that scene from Top Gun where you just keep seeing Tom Cruise's tongue. It's disgusting. So yeah, that bit was really gross. But I mean, I'm interested in your opinion, but I have to say I strongly disagree with it.
That's fine.
And you're wrong, honey. And now it's really cold, so can we go home?
Yeah, I think
I'm really embarrassed because we just walked down our road and then we realised we needed to keep talking, so we turned around and then we saw our neighbour, who I'm pretty sure does not know we have a podcast, so she must think we're completely crazy.
Oh really?
I'm so embarrassed. I'm going to have to text her.
Come on,
yeah.
Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, let's wrap this up.
Thanks for listening. Let us know what you thought of Widows. I feel like I'm in the minority here.
I feel like that too.
Tell me I'm not crazy. Someone else kind of is out there that feels similarly.
But like, I think you're holding this movie to a higher standard. Like, you think all the like Marvel movies are amazing, and you're saying that there's flaws with this movie.
Well, hang on a second. I can't. But that's different.
Is that different? Which movie will stand the test
Also,
of time?
you can't-
Avengers 7 or this?
Stop it! You can't be like, why are we even? How can you bring in Avengers into this?
Why do you sound like I just brought in your dead child?
They're in a different ballpark. That's not. That's
what I'm saying. You're holding this
stupid
movie.
Analogy.
You're
just
holding
because they're
this-
both movies.
You're holding this movie to a very high standard that you're not applying to other movies.
I basically said everything in this movie is brilliant, but it just didn't work for me.
Okay.
But
Great.
like, I came away from Avengers and I felt like I had a great 2.5 hours and had a blast. So does that? But wait, does that mean that I'm saying that Avengers is a better movie than
yes,
Widows?
by your own
No,
standards, then yes.
I don't. No, but it's not. That's bullshit. This is entirely different context. This movie, from a filmmaking point of view, is just leagues ahead of anything Avengers has
good.
ever
Okay,
done.
I'm pleased to hear that.
So, but that's not the point.
No, that was my. I was trying to get you. I wanted a pyramid.
What do I?
Widows and Avengers, which
no,
was higher.
come on. Why did you even? Why do you always bring it back to? Like, you make me sound like some sort of feckin' Marvel sort of
Zombie?
fanboy sitting around in my Spider-Man underpants.
Dave, you have a Spider-Man shelf in our house.
Shut up! Tell everyone about my Spider-Man
we've completely
shelf.
gone off topic. It's way too late,
No,
and
we
our neighbours
weren't-
think we're crazy.
We weren't off topic. I was wrapping things up, and then suddenly you were like, "I can't believe you don't like this movie, but you like the Avengers."
Oh, is that what
it's
I
like,
sound
hang
like?
on, no, that's not. That's not how you treat all of cinema. And this is why I don't like rating systems.
Oh, so this is why you don't like reviewing movies?
No, we don't.
On
we
our
don't,
podcast.
we don't review movies.
No.
This is a walk home from the movies.
In fact, the
where
only
we
thing
have,
I
where we
rate
have marital disputes.
The only thing I rate is podcasts. Actually,
We're not. Oh, good segue. You trying to talk me off this rant that you pushed me into.
I am saying the only thing I rate is podcasts, and I only do one rating on them. It's 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you haven't already given us a 5-star review, please do so. We implore you, because we do this podcast for free, and we know people like listening to it, and that's all we ask for in return. Dave's angry at me now. He's refusing.
I'm
to
so
speak.
angry. You just basically you riled me up. You made a silly little comment.
Yeah.
That was unfair.
Excuse me, don't
and
diminish
so
my comments.
dismissive, so dismissive, and which didn't even make sense in this context. Then you cut me off mid rant to make some sort of punchline, which basically meant, no, Dave, the podcast is over now.
Yeah, the
Please
podcast is
rate us on
over. I'm
iTunes.
cold. I want to go to bed.
Oh, it's cold now, is it?
It is cold.
Oh my
Come on,
God.
our neighbours are going to think
All
we're
right.
fucking crazy.
Yeah, I am shouting.
Yeah.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye.
Follow us on Twitter at the cinema. Bye.
Now, the best thing we have going for us is being who we are.
Why?
Because no one thinks we have the balls to pull this off.